Hi guys, it's Kaylee and Tyson from After Action Travel.
We just got back from one of our favorite destinations and we're here to give you our tips and tricks on how you can conquer your next Alaskan cruise. Just a couple months ago, my daughter and I were on board the Norwegian Bliss exploring the Mexican Riviera. But now, fast forward a couple months and Kaylee and I had the chance to jump on the Norwegian Bliss and cruise the very destination that it was designed for, Alaska.
Our beautiful 7-day Alaskan cruise would start out in the port of Seattle, followed by 1 day at sea prior to arriving into the beautiful Sitka, Alaska. Once arriving in Sitka, we chose to go see the Fortress of the Bears as well as the Raptor Center, the two things Alaska is so well known for. The first stop on our amazing excursion was at the Fortress of the Bears. Now, the Fortress of the Bears is an amazing animal sanctuary that houses black bears and coastal brown bears who may have gotten in trouble or just too curious, and their life would either show to be put down or rescued by these amazing people. The highlight for us was definitely these juvenile coastal brown bears as they would come up, stand up, wave, and anxiously waiting for their treats. We were able to spend a great amount of time with these guys before going on to our next stop, which was the Raptor Center.
Our second stop in this excursion was the Alaskan Raptor Center. This amazing organization takes in injured birds of prey and tries their best to rehabilitate them and then reintroduce them into the wild. Unfortunately for some of these birds, they're injured to the point where they can no longer be released into the wild, and this center actually houses them and cares for them. So we were able to be completely immersed in several bald eagles and other birds of prey. Once we finished at the Alaskan Raptor Center, we were taken to the Sitka Totem Center, where we experienced a lot of the Native American culture and experienced these beautiful totems throughout Sitka.
Once we were dropped off back in the city of Sitka, we knew that our very first stop had to be Mean Queens, who have some of the most amazing pizza that we have ever had. Not to mention, we got to sit and enjoy our pizza while looking out at the beautiful ocean, watching seals and other marine life playing. But sadly, like all things, it must come to an end. And so, as we headed back, we were super excited to think about our next port of call, which was going to be Juneau, Alaska. Probably our most anticipated stop of this entire cruise.
So our second port of call was Juneau, Alaska, and this was probably hands down our most anticipated port of call. And why is that?
Because we went whale watching.
Whale watching in Alaska is on a whole nother level. We saw so many whales, so many seals, and the overall scenery was just breathtaking.
We were able to get so close to these whales and the seals especially. It just was the most breathtaking experience ever. We tried to experience Endicott Glacier on the drive to it, but the weather just wouldn't cooperate.
We went on this excursion with Harvin and Marv's whale watching. Those, we can't recommend them enough. They were absolutely amazing.
Okay, I'm going to breathe right now.
Great.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, good. Yep.
Yeah, they're moving.
It looks like they're waking up now. So they're starting to move. That's the mom.
Oh, she's big.
And this is the mother and its baby. So, oh, there's the baby.
Oh,
The perfect conclusion of this day would be to hit up the Red Dog Saloon for some duck farts. But what happened?
The downpour rain was so bad that we were trying desperately just to get to the shuttles so we could make it back to the ship before being swept down the city.
But luckily we were able to experience the whales, and Juneau did not disappoint whatsoever.
We can't wait to go back next year. Our third port of call was going to be Icy Strait Point. Now, we didn't know a ton about this stop going in, but had we known, we would have done things a little different. This was one of the most beautiful stops we've ever experienced.
It's very evident the Norwegian themselves have invested a lot of money, because this new wilderness terminal that we docked in was absolutely breathtaking. From the gondola system to the actual excursion center was absolutely beautiful. Nonetheless, there's actually lots of influence from the actual artist that made the beautiful whole art on the Bliss, Wyland, and his influence was seen all over the island. But for this port, we chose to do an excursion. And what's interesting about Juneau, Alaska, the city that actually mirrors Icy Strait Point, is that there's more coastal brown bears than there are humans. And so our excursion was hopefully going out to see these beautiful bears in the wild. Although we did see these bears in the wild, they're too far away to video. What was interesting is because there were so many bears, our tour guides actually had rifles on their backs as they escorted us through this amazing boardwalk to experience these awesome lookouts to oversee where these bears are populated.
There was a beautiful beach along Icy Strait Point that was a whole different experience than any Caribbean beach we've ever experienced. But it was pretty breathtaking.
It's awesome.
The water obviously was cold, but it was just unbelievably beautiful. This is one of those ports that if we could go back, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna go on the biggest zip line in the entire world.
It's over 2 miles long and takes like 4 minutes to get down. It was amazing, and of course was sold out by the time we realized that we needed to experience this. This is also an amazing stop for whale watching as well, but we've already done that one, so we'll have to go back and experience that again later.
After leaving Icy Strait Point, it was time for our most anticipated part, sailing down the Endicott Arm to see what?
Dawes Glacier.
This ride down Endicott Arm was probably the most breathtakingly beautiful scenery I've ever seen in my entire life. Unfortunately, as we got close to Dawes Glacier, there was just way too much ice in the water for the captain to safely navigate, so we had to turn the ship around before we actually got to see views of the glacier. But nonetheless, that cruise was so breathtakingly beautiful that it didn't matter. Unfortunately, after we experienced Endicott Arm, we were off to our final stop in Alaska, which was Ketchikan. After we arrived at our final port of call in Alaska of Ketchikan, we went to a newer area that is specific to Norwegian's new investment, which was in an old abandoned lumber mill. And although it didn't look like much from the outside, it was actually really cool inside. There was a lot of old vintage sawmill stuff, a lot of chainsaws, and some really impressive shopping. While we were inside that area, we boarded our free bus ride down to downtown Ketchikan, where we were dropped off on the boardwalk, where we walked to what?
The Lumberjack Show. You guys, this was so much fun. We went and experienced, I believe it was 6 lumberjacks, where they had games and they went back and forth doing all these numerous challenges. It was a great time. Sadly, they did ask us please not to record anything, so all we have is pictures, but we really did enjoy this. We then found our way back after along the boardwalk, just enjoying all of the scenery and the beautiful city of Ketchikan.
Ketchikan was really neat, and although it was a little bit disappointing that we didn't get our massive crab feast that we were expecting, it was understandable given the current state of the Alaskan crab market. It's kind of an unfortunate circumstance, but when we come back next year, we know exactly what excursion we're going to hit up in Ketchikan next.
Alright guys, as promised, our top 5 tips for conquering Alaska. Coming in at number 1 is packing. You guys, we are from Utah. We understand extreme cold and extreme heat. We had plenty of rainwear. We expected to get wet, we expected cold, but we could not have imagined just how cold it would get. Now, the weather the week prior to us being there was beautiful. People were in t-shirts and light jackets, and the week after same thing, but we got an exceptionally cold week while we were there with tons of rain. So waterproof shoes and rain jackets. But I had forgotten to bring a beanie. So I got this super awesome Alaska beanie. I had to purchase myself some gloves because I was freezing. And I took the opportunity to purchase a hoodie in almost every port. Shh, don't tell Tyson. Oh wait, he was there. You guys, layers are they're your friend in this situation. You can pull things off all the time, but putting on more just doesn't work. So bring extra. You won't be sad you did. It'll be good. The other thing I would tell you guys to pack would be binoculars. I can't begin to tell you how amazing it was to go out off our balcony using our binoculars. We could see just a little bit further than everybody else, and some of the wildlife that we experienced was stuff that we'll never forget. We also took them on excursions with us, and we had people that were like, oh my gosh, we're so jealous, why didn't we bring the binoculars? So if you guys have a pair of binoculars, take them with you. It's such an amazing experience and you won't regret it. Number 2 is weather. You guys, I had not mentally prepared myself nearly well enough to experience how light it is going from Seattle all the way through Alaska. It was about 11 o'clock at night and it was still light outside, and it was about 4 a.m. when the sun came up again, and I was not prepared for just how much that would mess with my head. But it was so amazing to go outside on our balcony any time of day, including from 11 to 4, in the middle of the night, and you could still see outside. You could still see the trees across the way and the beautiful mountains. It was amazing. A few things that you don't expect is how much rain. Now, we talked to several locals while we were there, and all of them expressed to us how it rains almost every single day in Alaska. We got lucky and a few of the stops didn't have a ton of rain, but places like Juneau, we got the torrential downpour.
All right, guys, tip number 3, choose the right ship for you. For us, we couldn't have imagined a better ship than the Norwegian Bliss, one of the few ships in all of the cruise fleet that was specifically designed with Alaska in mind. From the beautiful hull art to what sets this ship apart from most other ships, the observation deck. We cannot explain to you how amazing that observation deck truly was. This is an area that spans an entire 100 degrees around the front of that ship, where you can go find a chair next to a massive panorama window and take all of the beauty Alaska has to offer in while enjoying a cup of coffee or grabbing snacks that are served throughout this area all day long. I cannot express to you how amazing that observation deck truly is. With that in mind, don't be cheap. If there's any possible way you can swing to get a balcony, get a balcony. We were able to experience so much more wildlife and so much of the beautiful scenery from the luxury of our own room, and I cannot stress how important that is. However, if you're not able to swing the balcony, that observation deck is a truly mind-boggling step above what most cruise lines can offer you in Alaska.
Tip number 4 is experience the excursions. If you guys are going on a bucket list trip, go out and experience everything that these ports have to offer. You won't regret it later, I promise. Go out and experience the fishing, or the whale watching, or the zip line if that's your thing. I can't tell you how many clients have come back to tell me how amazing the dog mushing experience was, and the helicopter tours, and the train rides. Alaska is so big and so beautiful, and there's no way to possibly see it all, but why wouldn't you experience as much of it as you can in the short amount of time that you have there? Tip number 5, live in the moment. You guys are experiencing something that you may never experience again. This is the most amazing vacation that we have ever experienced. So much that next year we have already decided that we're taking the kids back to Alaska with us. It's their Christmas present and they couldn't be more excited about it.
Guys, I can't express how many times as we're leaving ports of call we saw orcas, baby orcas with their mothers. We saw humpback whales, we saw eagles, we saw coastal brown bears, and there's so many people we talked to that didn't live in the moment. They weren't on their balconies, they weren't taking it all in. There's time to go hit the casino, there's time to go eat, but just take in the moment as you're leaving these ports. There's so many experiences that we weren't anticipating. Take in this amazing destination at every chance you possibly can.
I don't think you guys will ever regret taking the time to just check out from the phones or anything digital and just enjoy Alaska. What was your favorite part of Alaska?
The wildlife, hands down. There was just wildlife at every single turn, and it's, in a lot of ways, it's overwhelming because there's so many things you want to see and so many things you want to do that as soon as you come back, it leaves you earning to turn around and go back to experience more. Hence the reason we're already on board next year with the amazing Encore to experience Alaska all over again.
We can't wait to go experience it all over again, and we have so many things, new things, that we can't wait to explore with our kids who are just as excited as we are.
But guys, we hope you found this content helpful. If you like what we're throwing out, please like and subscribe.
And remember, always take time to travel.